Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch with SC Weather. I hope y'all been having a great Friday. Hope y'all have had a great work week as we get into the weekend. A lot of things to talk about weather-wise. In fact, it's very active right now in places like Texas, where you got supercells that are producing very photogenic tornadoes. If you have social media, definitely check out some storm chasers like Reed Timmer, who's already got a tornado on film. But they're everywhere. There's been a few. So they definitely are producing tornadoes right now. So how will that translate till tomorrow as it gets further east into the southeast, like areas of Alabama, Georgia, maybe South Carolina, Panhandle of Florida, maybe Mississippi? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the big time threat. It's already went up to an enhanced risk. So we're really going to begin to break this down and see how dangerous it could potentially get tomorrow. The two main CAM models, convective models like the NAM and the HRRR model, are a little different. So that's kind of worrisome a little bit. But I really think tomorrow is going to be potentially a dangerous day. You guys might notice the audio is a little bit clearer, should be better. I purchased a new mic thanks to y'all's support. I promised I would get my setup a lot better, so I'm in the process of steadily doing that. It's been a long week, but I really want to have a much better setup by hurricane season, for sure, and be able to deliver something that's much more appealing to you guys. So thank y'all for y'all's amazing support. Like the video if you like it. If you do like it, it helps to get the video on out there. Definitely subscribe. I talk weather here in the Eastern U.S. and I really specialize here in the Southeast. So thank y'all for y'all's amazing support. If you got anything I can pray about, definitely drop it in my prayers and drop it in the comments so I can reach out, pray for you guys. It gives other people an opportunity to pray for you guys too. So hopefully the storms right now going on in Texas don't go do any damage, cause any harm to life or loss of life. So let's get going with this. Let me know if the audio is too loud. I have the mic turned up about halfway, so I'm going to be adjusting it, but it should be much clearer for you guys. But check it out. For tomorrow, you have a large area of an enhanced risk that stretches all the way from the Mississippi-Alabama border. It includes areas like Birmingham, Montgomery, Alabama, and all the way into central and southern areas of Georgia, and a very small slither of the far south extreme areas of South Carolina. So this is a big deal tomorrow, guys. It's an enhanced risk right now in Texas, and it's producing tornadoes. So we need to watch out as we get a little bit further north. The chances, I think, drop off. But check out with these this tornado threat. A 10% chance of a tornado in this area. But look at this area right here. This could be an elevated tornado threat. We got to watch to see if this upgrades to a 15% chance. But this could be a potentially dangerous situation that kind of develops tomorrow. And it could be a boom, it could be a bust. Boom meaning this could end up being a much more bigger outbreak than than advertised. Wind threat, 30% chance. But is the highest hatched area within 25 miles of any given location in this area. That's what that means. Hail threat, definitely a big deal right here, where some supercells can develop after what you call an MCS forms and flows through Alabama, the Panhandle of Florida, places like Georgia. Basically, in the later in the afternoon, after this moves through, the atmosphere is going to destabilize again. Dew points are going to spike. It's going to cause a moist sector, and CAPE in a very small sector is going to rise into maybe the 1,500 to 2,000 joules per kilogram surface CAPE. So that's going to be enough. And might be some renegade cells that form here. If that happens, there's going to be a chance for large hail and isolated tornadoes, especially if any leftover boundaries are in place from the system that moved through earlier. So this is going to be interesting. Very interesting setup. So stay with me. There's a lot to talk about. So this is the HRRR model. As we're going through here in time, here comes the mess as it kind of, when you start to lose the daytime heating, typically when you get isolated storms, they typically kind of converge together, whether they turn into a squall line of storms, or just a big old jumbled up mess. But here it comes. MCS stands for Mesoscale Convective System, which is basically like an intense line of thunderstorms. And this is kind of what develops here, kind of in the same areas that developed here about 2 weeks ago when the same kind of thing happened. And I think that happened on a Saturday morning too. So this is going to be overnight Friday into Saturday. The one thing you got to worry about with this is there's going to be CAPE building here. Dew points are going to be in the 60s. There's going to be enough energy here. So what we have to worry about here is these individual supercells that kind of start to form and isolate themselves in this line of storms. If that happens, then you run the risk of isolated tornadoes in this, isolated very large hail. We had a very, very large hail event in the last system like this to happen, which you normally don't always get very large hail in squall line kind of scenarios. But this is going to be kind of draping here. North of this line is going to be a lot of heavy, moderate to heavy rain with some embedded lightning and thunder. But this is going to move through. It's going to get intense here. So if you're south of Montgomery, you're Pensacola, Mobile, Alabama, definitely watch. It's eventually going to form and develop. But look at this kind of bowing right here. This could produce very big time damaging winds. But look at all this heavy rain moving into South Carolina as we're getting into early to kind of mid-morning. It really just takes over the state. I tell you what, up here in North Carolina, I really don't think you're going to have much of a severe weather threat. South Carolina is a big question. But this moves on through. You get this on out here. Let me tell you, the big question for places like South Carolina is how quick can you get this basically this first batch of energy through? How quick can you get that through? If you get it through quicker than models suggest, then you have a chance for more thunderstorms later in the afternoon and evening. So when this energy moves through, according to the HRRR model, basically the atmosphere back here begins to materialize again. It begins to basically destabilize again. It recovers. It recovers from all this morning convection that really stabilizes the atmosphere. So it heats up, and then you have a chance for isolated storms to form. I don't know if you can see this little cell, and let me try to make this a little bit bigger here. This is probably going to make it a little bit smaller. Here we go. It's probably going to get... Okay, hopefully I made this a little bit better for you, but check it out here. You have individual cells that start to reform again. How are these cells going to act? But this is where I think you can get a tornado threat. Like, check out this little, well, it's not little, it's a pretty big storm. It's almost like a little line of storms that form. How will this react? Look at these cells down here. You can almost see the hook in them. Like, check out this one off the coast here. It has a hook to it. So these are the cells you got to watch out for after all this convection moves through. How will they kind of hold together in the Carolinas? Not sure. But, it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to be dealing with this system. It's not going to be quick. It's going to move through depending on where you are. And it might be a 1-2 punch for some areas. You might get a big old area of heavy rain depending on where you are, places like South Carolina. And then later, you might get some storms. So check out the NAM. It's a little different. See if we can get this to come through. See if it won't take 3 years and a day here. The NAM is a little different. Check it out here. It's kind of the same with the squall line. It moves through. It's actually a little different. I said it's the same, but it's not. I don't know what I'm talking about. It doesn't even really have the squall line coming together, staying together as you get into southern areas of Georgia. It just doesn't. What happens here is it looks like basically the energy as a whole, the system as a whole is more north. So that means, heavy rain moves through basically the entire southeast, and then it gives a chance into the early afternoon, about the mid to late afternoon hours for a line of storms to form. And check out these individual storms in Alabama and basically central to southern Alabama that really begin to form according to the NAM. And then they kind of move back into Georgia, into South Carolina, and they kind of turn to a line. Much different scenario. But check out these little individual cells on into the overnight hours tomorrow night. So it can really get kind of dangerous here. And it's so different. So it's kind of alarming that it's so different here. You look at this is one thing that I'm concerned about. This is what you call the updraft helicity swaths. Basically, it tells us where a tornado could potentially drop. This is the HRRR model. This is all along the southern edge of that squall line, that MCS, that convective system. So basically it's saying that there's going to be some spins to this storm. Basically you have to watch out for can any storms kind of isolate themselves in this line of storms way down here. That's the scary thing. Now you look here, and let's see if we can get this in motion here. Should come up any second now. So basically, so right here you can look at potential wind gust. And you know, a lot of times this isn't super accurate, but it gives you a good idea according to the HRRR where the highest wind gusts can be along that line of storms that's draping across deep south and the Gulf Coast here. And, you know, that's up to 50, 60, 70 miles per hour wind gust here. So you have to watch out, and then it pops off down here or over here as more storms begin to kind of get going here in the Carolinas. But you look at the HRRR model, the Cape. This is what I'm talking about. There's like a very small sector here where basically the atmosphere is destabilized. Up here, you have a bunch of rain. The atmosphere is more stable. But down here, before any kind of rain or convection is, and the line of storms is draping up here, you have Cape building up to 2,000 joules per kilogram, and you know, surface base. So, and in this case, it shows it spiking to maybe upwards to 3,000. So there's going to be a lot of energy in a very small southern section of the Gulf Coast that could really provide energy just south of this line of storms. So this is why this area right here has to watch out in the early morning hours into the early afternoon, especially. But it doesn't really build up into Georgia much, into South Carolina. It never really gets going. But the NAM is a little different. Well, let's look at the significant tornado parameter according to the HRRR model. It's not very, very high, but it's still a 3 or a 4. In fact, the Weather Channel, their Torcon, they got it out of 5 out of 10 in this area right here. That's pretty high. So you look at the significant tornado parameter according to the NAM, but look how high it gets right here. It spikes here in Alabama and Georgia, and this is alarming. If the NAM was to come true, then you got to worry about tornadoes. So I think right now the National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center, Weather Channel, things like that are kind of combining both data and trying to figure out what this is going to do. You look at temperatures altogether. For instance, you look in South Carolina, the temperatures don't really get very high. This is basically the highest it gets into the 60s. Watch out for this little sector down here, maybe into the 70s. But you can physically look at this and tell where the line of storms is, because look at the more stable, cooler air, and then look at the air where it's not raining. You got 70s near 80s down here, well, mainly 70s, and then 60s, even 50s. Got to watch out for a cold air wedge too that could really put a hamper on. Basically, it could help to limit any severe weather in areas like northern Georgia, far northwest South Carolina, and areas of I don't think North Carolina is going to be much of severe weather anyways. But check out how long this wedge in situation CAD holds together in the Carolinas. So if that happens, you're not going to get any severe weather here. So be interesting. The NAM, it's about the same. It warms it up a little bit more down there near the coast, but it still shows that CAD showing up here. The temperatures warm up a little bit more to the South Carolina and things like that. But so dew points are a pretty big deal here too. You're going to notice basically the moist sector right here, but notice the dry air is getting out of here fast. You'll notice tomorrow you'll wake up, it's kind of got a crisp feel to it depending on where you are, especially in like Georgia and the Carolinas, but you notice the humidity will build very quickly tomorrow into late morning and early afternoon hours. And that is basically because the warm front is going to try to figure out where it wants to be. Dew points will spike into the 60s, maybe 70s in areas of the southeast, aiding the development for severe storms. So y'all be weather aware tomorrow. I feel like I just talked way more than I normally do. But things can get kind of dangerous tomorrow. I think I'm going to be storm chasing out there tomorrow. It doesn't seem like that far of a drive. So y'all might get a video tomorrow of me doing that if I decide to. I got a lot to do tomorrow too. But thank y'all for tuning in, and y'all have an awesome evening.